2024. What a year. It's already shaping up to be a fantastic metal year. Bands are booking tours. Albums are coming out. The young bands are getting bigger tours, and the legends are releasing their 24th album. Today, we have Biff Byford of Saxon. They're the ones with the 24th album. Biff, welcome to Metal Mayhem. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. It's good to be there. Yeah, sitting here in my sort of darkness. It's great.
Well, it's not dark here in Rochester. That's where I am. I'd like to introduce you to my co-host, Metal Walt. He's down in New Jersey.
Great. Been to New Jersey quite a lot. Nice place.
Oh, thank you very much. And I've seen you guys many a times at the legendary BB King's Club on Times Square, which is no longer there, but many a great Saxon show. No longer there.
No longer there. Yeah, it's a pity. A lot of these venues, that have got history are disappearing. It's the same in the UK. But that's how it goes.
So, Biff, I have a question. Off the bat on the new album, Hellfire and Damnation. I think when you eventually retire, you should become a college history professor because you seem to know a lot about world history and sort of mystery. You're a very well-versed guy. Give you credit.
Yeah, I'm very well read. I like history. It interests me. I was pretty interested in the history at school. I like music and history. That's about it, actually. So I like working with wood, but that's another story. But I was sort of into music and history, and not so good at maths and English. But I got better as I got older. But now I was into the history, and it's an interesting, to sing about it and write. I'm a bit of a storyteller, so history is great for doing that.
Well, there's only so many albums in years you can write about sex, drugs, and rock and roll and heavy metal and partying, right?
Yeah.
Eventually, you got to get something else.
Yeah, you run out of steam a little bit, rather than the same rock and roll, road stories, and it just gets a bit boring after a while. I think you got to move on a bit,
Absolutely. Well, you touch on a lot of those great subjects. Obviously, the album kicks off with a little bit of something about, let's say, religion or the biblical aspect, which you do write in a lot of your tracks through the years. But the prophecy, which leads into Hellfire and Damnation, the title track. I mean, hey, you get Brian Blessed, that 87-year-old actor, to do a spoken word thing, amazing. And then that title track, it's just epic. And what a video for that. So talk a little bit about that track and the church. What church did you film that video in?
Well, we actually, I'll go with Brian first. Brian's a friend of ours. We've known him for some time. He's from the same part of Yorkshire in the UK where we're from. He's introduced us on stage a couple of times. He's really into metal music. So he's a big fan, and, we love his work. He's got a fantastic voice. So I just asked him, I wrote him a message saying, I've got these words, the prophecy. Would you do it for me? Speak it. And he said, yeah, I'll do it for you. So we're very lucky, actually, to get him, because he's, one, he's very famous, two, he's very busy, and three, he's quite old now. So, he might have turned around and said no, So I wanted someone to explain the song. But Hellfire Damnation, it's about the fight between good and evil. Brian Tatler from Diamond Head, and our new guy, came up with that guitar riff. That is the killer riff. He played it to me. I was going, good God, that's a killer riff. And I had this idea for doing a song called Hellfire and Damnation, and I just put it all together, and it sounded beautiful.
Well, that answers a question I was going to have. So Brian did contribute to the writing of this because it had a different feel. So how much did he write into this album?
Well, we didn't ask him to write on the album. It's just that we were in a bit of a rush to get the album finished for this tour in March that we're starting with Judas Priest and Uriah Heep. So we were up against it a bit, and so were Judas Priest. So Judas Priest were using Andy Steep, our producer, who was over in Las Vegas doing their album, and we were over here doing our album. That's where I came in with the production a little bit. So we're rushing all the time, really. So, yeah, I mean, Brian, I just asked Brian out of the blue, have you got any ideas, Brian, you have used, anything in your back pocket that's, you think we could use? So he sent me 5 or 6 songs, and one of them, like, absolutely blew my socks off. And I had this idea about doing this song about good and evil. So, yeah, I said, I'm going to take that riff and make it into a song. And that's what I did. So we didn't intend him to write on the album, but the circumstances led that way. It's really magical, really. I mean, we're really sad that Paul Quinn's not with us anymore.
Yeah.
But by Paul doing what he did, opened the door for us. And we sort of went through it. And this magical thing happened with Brian having this guitar riff, which is Hellfire and Damnation, So everything worked out perfect.
Sort of like a sports team, next man up. But talking about that video.
Not really.
Well, it's like, so the starter goes down, you got to bring in, next man up. And
well, the thing is, Brian had already knew loads of Saxon songs, because when Paul was ill with COVID, we asked Brian to learn the songs so he could stand in for him. But Paul got better and Brian didn't do it. So when we asked Brian if he wanted to, take Paul's place playing live, he was like, yeah, I'll do it, definitely. So just one thing led to another, really. And that's how it happened.
And plus, you guys are brothers. You've been friends for 40 plus years. So it was just
he's a legend. He's definitely a riffmeister. And so is Mr. Quinn. So we replaced one legend with another legend. And a lot of people didn't see it coming. They were like, whoa, that's fantastic. So we just toured with him across Europe festivals, just been to Latin America, and the fans like him. They love his playing.
Listen,
and he fits great with Saxon.
Before we put Hellfire to bed, I just want to compliment you on the video. The editing is fantastic. It's nice and slow. You could actually look at the people. Sometimes these videos, they're so fast that you don't know where.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, and we shot it in a. You asked me where we shot it, right? Sorry, I forgot about that one.
Yes.
We shot it in a cathedral, in a monastery in Manchester, in the north of England. So they've got this big monastery cathedral that's been decommissioned, and they have concerts and things in there. So we rented it for 2 days, and that's where we shot it in the actual church cathedral. So I think it fits the theme quite nicely.
And
absolutely.
It was nice that it wasn't overabundance of lyrics. A lot of times these lyric videos, the forefront of the video is the lyrics, but it was nice to see your fantastic looking mug throughout the video. It's
okay, great, thanks.
So Biff, a little side note to this, talking about religion, I have younger kids, so we take them to Sunday CCD. I'm Catholic. And after we do the Our Father prayer, there's a statement in Catholicism that says, for the kingdom and the power and the glory are yours now and forever. And every moment on Sunday, I go right to power and glory. And I'm like, fucking Saxon, man.
Yeah, well, that's called the Lord's Prayer, isn't it? The one you're talking about.
Yes.
Through the valley of death and all that sort of. But yeah, I mean, I took that idea of power and the glory from obviously from the Bible, to the power and the glory forever and ever. And left that bit out, obviously, but used the power and the glory part. It's a strong 2 words, that power and the glory. And it's the same with the Hellfire Damnation. It's got massive religious overtones. When I was a boy, I was brought up quite religious. I think you'll probably say we did do Roman Catholic. My mum used to play the church organ, so I used to go to quite a lot of these things. We did some Catholic stuff, but most of it was like Methodist or Protestant, Church of England. So, I was brought up quite religious, and so I know all about the end of days and Armageddon and all that sort of stuff. Because hellfire and brimstone preachers used to come through and tell us young people how Satan will take our soul and all that sort of stuff. So all quite, crazy times, really.
Right. Well, you're with me in spirit and him every Sunday as I get up there. So,
There you go. That's brilliant. Yeah.
so the second track, Biff, Madame Guillotine. I mean, you talk about a contrast, right? This one yet becomes catchy and very melodic and really cool little bass open. And what we love the best about this, there's a lot of sarcasm and very clever and humorous lyrics tied back to the title. So talk a little bit about this track.
Well, again, this is the Brian track as well. This is the Brian riff. And I heard it, and I had this idea to do a song about the French Revolution, Marie Antoinette getting her head chopped off by the guillotine. And the French used to call it Madame Guillotine. I think it's a bit of a sick joke, you're meeting Madame Guillotine tomorrow. So the actual lyrics are quite dark, but I wanted to do the chorus a little bit like an Alice Cooper thing, a bit more like theatrical. So all that, let me introduce you to Madame Guillotine, but please don't lose your head. It's a bit double entendre there, you can like lose your head on the guillotine or lose your head drinking too much or, I like it. I like the touch. I was like thinking, should I put that in there? I thought, yeah, put it in there. It's cool.
It's a good one. Very catchy and accessible. I like it too. Real good contrast between the first two tracks.
Yeah, I wanted it that way. I wanted it to be like full-on metal and then maybe a bit more melodic metal, after it. Sort of a bit more more melody basically. So yeah. And we smash into Fire and Steel which is all over.
And that's metal. That's fast. That's guitar. That's drums. And I could see that in the live set. We'll get to that. But yeah, talk about Fire and Steel.
Well, Fire and Steel is about a city called Sheffield. Probably made famous by Def Leppard. That's where they come from, Sheffield. But when I was a teenager, we used to go to Sheffield. It wasn't far from where we used to live. We used to go there and watch all the bands and the pubs and the city hall and the theatres. I mean, I saw many, many bands there. So Uriah Heep actually with Deep Purple in the 70s there, and it's famous for steel. If you eat your knife and fork in the 70s, then it was probably made in Sheffield. They made steel for the space shuttle and all sorts of things. But that's what it's about. Fire and Steel. It's about Sheffield. It's about where I used to go and see music. Learn. What I want it to be, basically.
The track. There's something in Roswell. Obviously, does it have the UFO connection? Not the band, but the topic. Talk about this song. What is this about?
Well, Roswell is ground zero for UFO enthusiasts. The question is, are you a believer or not? That's the question. I mean, I'm a believer. I think something happened in Roswell. I'm not fanatical, but I like the thought that something actually crashed there from another planet or another solar system. It's an interesting story, and it all started in Roswell. And I'm saying what I think. There's something in Roswell. Tell us the truth. Come on.
I like the fuzzy guitar that opens the song because it sounds like, we're imagining like that TV UFO like coming over your head, right?
Yeah, it's a bit like the Outer Limits program there used to be back in the day. We used to sit and watch that and freak ourselves out. But I mean, some of the older people will remember the Outer Limits. Always stories about aliens and vampires and stuff. Yeah, it's great.
Hey, Biff, in all your bus trips across the states through decades, did you ever go through that area and go up to the stop sign with the dust bowls rolling around where it says, no longer can enter, this is government property?
You mean Area 51?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been to Area 51, but I've never been to Roswell. But when we come back in April, if we're down in Texas, I'm going to go there and have an alien burger.
What is that?
They do an alien burger in the cafe that's shaped like a flying saucer. So I'm going to go there. Maybe we'll shoot a video there. That'd be cool. But I think the next single that comes out is going to be somewhere in Roswell. It's a great groove, that song. I like it.
Yeah, it is it is a good one. So again, it goes back to the point of very interesting and diverse topics that when you look, usually when you go and look at a new album, your brain first says it connects to the music where you say, oh, it's this my favorite, one of my favorite bands. Oh yeah, this is the sound I'm looking for. And then you kind of connect to the lyrics later. In a sense, you got both with you guys. You got the music and you got some really cool storylines.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Like you say, you can only write so many songs about sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and so you have to get a bit interesting. And I think it's. I don't know if anybody actually reads all the lyrics and things, but if you go to if you don't know anything about say the Salem witch trials, you can go on Google and look on Wikipedia. It tells you all about it, and it's a big thing that happened in history. That it's crazy times, and it's really good to write lyrics about it because it's real and it's a story about real people that really happened back in those days.
Exactly. And that's exactly like what happens on a track like Kubla Khan and the Merchant of Venice, right? Where, it's that song musically, it's got that classic Saxon new wave of British heavy metal sound. And, but the storyline comes into the forefront. And what I think is amazing about that track is those mid-song riffs and soloing. And that's apparent on a couple of the songs where the shredding between Doug and Brian is just fucking killer.
Yeah, it is. The guitar solos are excellent on this album, and they went. I think they went away and thought about it a bit, and then came back and just jammed them down. They did a few of the solos at my studio at home, and they did some of the solos with Andy. But I think the guitar work on the album is stunning, actually.
The album comes in under about 40 minutes, 11 tracks, give or take, considering the prophecy with that is. But the continuity and the flow to the album, each song gets in and gets out. Pirates of the Airwaves. Here's a under 4-minute song. Great low end and groove. The overall pace is fantastic. It's a straightforward but catchy main riff. Really strong chorus and great solos. That's what I got out of it. Let's talk about Pirates because again, we're circling back to this guitar work. It's a shredder album, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, Pirates of the Airwaves. Is that what we're talking about? Pirates of the Airwaves.
Pirates of the Airwaves.
Yeah, well, it's when I was a young teenager, 13, 14, something like that. Can't remember how old I was. But in England, well, basically in the UK, there was no nighttime radio. The radio finished at 10 o'clock, and everything went black and dark. Same with the television, that finished at 10 o'clock. So you were expected to go to bed and be a good little boy and then get up and go to school the next day. So we used to listen to all these pirate radio stations that had, Rolling Stones and the Kinks and all those 60s bands on there. And we'd sit up all night, listening to these songs on radio. And it caused a revolution in England, the swinging 60s. That started with pirate radios, mini skirts, long hair, just rebel music. And the BBC had to open its own radio station for us young people back then. So it was a great time, actually. Great time.
Biff, I don't know if you're aware of this. There's an app out there now. It's called Radio Garden. Along those lines, you could go and put it on your phone and you can find pretty much any FM frequency that participates around the world. I was messing around with it a couple of months ago, listening to Planet Rock out of London. Just
all right, yeah.
So what 50, 60 years later, look what technology has brought us. Same principle though, right?
Same principle, yeah, same principle. Playing music, looking for music that you like. That's the thing. Looking for music that you like and not being forced to listen to music that you think is crap. That's the criteria.
Or you have guys like us that offer our own internet radio show, Devastation Radio, where we can be the DJs and pick what we want.
You can be the critics and the DJs at the same time, and you can put out what you feel is brilliant and what you think people can want to hear. That's the whole sort of reason behind me being here doing interviews and you being there playing music. That's the whole thing, really. Get the band's music in front of the people.
Well, it's a two-way street because, even though we host the show, the radio show, we learn from the listeners. And
yeah, definitely.
And it's awesome. Even though our show is based here in the States, East Coast, we have on Metal Devastation Radio, that's our platform. We have a lot of listeners over in the UK, and it's awesome because you hear the tendencies and the input from them over there, and I could tell you your fellow countrymen really stick up for you, and they I've been a fan since the early 80s, but it's good stuff. But well, you want to continue you're one of your favorite tracks, 1066.
So 1066, man. I mean, the Battle of Hastings, another history lesson. It was the year the Saxons were slain, and listen,
that's right.
It's got a metal march and it has a battlefield. I mean, you guys thought it through around the topic and the title, and you accomplished it. Talk about 1066.
Well, 1066. Every schoolboy knows what 1066 was. When I was a boy, anyway. I don't know about now. Maybe it's not woke enough, but back in the day, we were all taught about the Vikings and the Saxons and the Normans. And I did a song with my friends Amon Amarth called Saxons Vikings, and I co-wrote that with you on the lyrics. And I thought we did it, and I thought I could do one. The Saxons Vikings was like, I don't know, so 700 and something, and the Battle of 1066 was like 300 years later. But it was a natural, the Saxons beat the Vikings, and then the Normans beat the Saxons in 1066. So it's a great thing to sing about. It's I'm surprised nobody's done it before. Actually, I'm surprised Iron Maiden haven't done 1066. It's the sort of thing Maiden would do. They're into the history lyrics as well. So, but they didn't do it, so we got to do it. So that's good.
Yeah, and I will tell you, talking about the Amon Amarth video, John and I were watching that video last night. It's great. I mean, awesome. The song is great, but the video itself, where the two bands come together for battle, like, holy crap! Like, where was were you guys on tour? Maybe in the summer in Europe, one of these big festivals?
It was in. No, it was just before. It was after Paul retired, and just before we brought Brian in. So they asked us to go to Latvia, I think, which is up in the Baltics, to shoot the video, because you couldn't get away with that sort of stuff in England. The health and safety, you couldn't, because these guys that were fighting were really going for it. They were professional sort of reenactors, if you know what I mean. So yeah, it was great walking through the battles, and it was good fun. We shot it over 2 days, and great weather and a great location. It's supposed to be in England, the Battle of Stanford, I think. But, we couldn't do that in England. It wouldn't work. There'd be police and ambulances and all sorts of people there saying we couldn't do it. So it was good. It was really good fun. I like the video. It's great. It's great. When I come in singing, it's like, whoa, it's like, whoa, go on then.
So a lot of that video wasn't computer generated. That was actual.
No, none of it's computer generated. It all actually happened. There was about 40 actors there, battling, people that are trained with swords and axes and shields. And that was all going on. I had my army, the Saxon army behind me. Yeah. And they had their army, the Vikings, in behind them. And we walked towards each other through the woods and then met in some clearing. It's pretty good fun, actually. Really good fun.
I do have a question about the guitar solo. Is that, I see Paul's in there, but is that Brian doing the lead?
No,
or is that Alavi?
No, that was before Brian. There's Doug and Paul there. So, Paul had retired, and we said, do you want to go up there and do the video? He said, yeah, I'll go. So we took Paul up there. It works pretty good, I think.
Well, I just saw the long blonde hair, and I know Alavi from Amon doesn't have the long blonde hair, and it was so fast, the video, and so I ask you about it.
Yeah.
Now,
It's probably
does he
probably a
speak like
Viking
that?
warrior.
Does he speak like that in person? Or does he, when he has a pint on the side, is he like, "Hey, Biff"?
Yeah, that speaks pretty normal when he's talking. Like most of the guys that sing in the deep, sort of otherworldly voices, they're all pretty normal talking people. They don't like. No, they talk normal.
I hope that maybe next summer, if you're playing Grass Pop or one of these big festivals, you guys are on the same bill. One of you guys can play that song and get you up there. That would be good to see that one up on YouTube.
Yeah, that would be special to see it. Yeah, it would. Yeah.
So, one of my favorites on the album, Witches of Salem. I mean, who doesn't like a song that opens with screaming, burning witches? But what makes this one unique, it's kind of mid-place but heavy, and I feel like it's got a little bit of a blues swagger to it. And that's best guitar work on the album at the end on that one. Yeah,
it's very sort of it's a very 1980s style song. It's got that sort of bluesy riff on it, which is pretty cool, really. And to sing about the Witches of Salem on that type of riff, you would think it wouldn't work, but it does work really well,
Well, the album ends with a great title and a Supercharger, another classic fast Saxon song. Maybe singing about motorcycle racing, lots of shredding.
It's about drag racing. We used to go and watch when the American air bases were pretty big in England. We used to go to a place called Santa Pod where the American GIs and things used to build these drag races and race them there. And we'd never seen it before. We used to go down there quite a lot. So the song's about drag racing basically. And I mean, I think it's a great riff. It's Douglas Scott riff, and I wanted to close the album with a bang, not go out on a ballad. So it works really well, I think, that song.
Oh, it definitely finishes it appropriately. Well, Biff, we have to address the elephant in the room, and that's the much anticipated announcement of the U.S. dates. America's been a little PO'd because we haven't gotten our fill. Carpe Diem was, I mean, COVID took care of that. Carpe Diem, we didn't see it. I know you can release dates. Can you give us a tease on states? The whole country.
As far as I'm aware, it starts on April the 23rd in Fort Lauderdale in Florida. That's what I've seen, and it goes up the East Coast, so it's probably going to be passing your area. Definitely.
Well, we have two areas. Fortunately, Walt's down in the New York area. I'm Western New York, Rochester.
Yeah, but I think there's quite a few shows in those areas. Is what I'm saying. I don't think at the moment it's not a coast to coast tour. I think it goes from the East Coast across to the Midwest, maybe down into Texas, and then I think there's going to be a part 2 later on where we take up from Texas over to the West Coast. So I think I think it's a 7-week tour, so we'll be playing a lot of cities, definitely.
All right. Well, I think the rivet heads in the Metal Mayhem ROC community will be happy with the news that we're going to bring back to them. Again,
well, you have Uriah Heep on the bill, which is a great opening band. I mean, you're going to be touring with them with Priest in the UK, and what a great bill.
Yeah, it's a co-headline show, so we'll be closing some shows and they'll be closing other shows. Depends down to the promoter. Obviously, we need to people. Our American audience are growing and growing all the time. Where people are coming back to us that were big fans on the Power and Glory Crusader tours, and a lot of young fans are getting into us now. So on the Hellfire Damnation, I think 6% of the hits are from the USA. So which means our profile's gone up quite a lot there. While we haven't been there, we did some pretty good tours. We did Motorhead, we did Judas Priest, we did UFO. So we played to a lot of people before COVID. So let's hope that everybody remembers. But we've got a new album out. The album's a monster, so people can buy the album, CD, stream it. We don't care what they do, really. Buy the vinyl, buy the CD, stream the album, steal it, buy it, borrow it. We don't care. Get a copy and come and see us live. That's what it's all about.
January 19th, Hellfire and Damnation out everywhere. Biff, how can people stay in touch with Saxon? Saxon.com? What are your socials?
Yeah, our website, which people don't really bother with website. The website is saxon747.com. You can go on there. Our Facebook site is just Saxon. You can go on. If you Google Saxon band, it comes up. So you can go on Facebook. We're on quite a few. I don't think we're on TikTok, but we're on quite a few of those things. But yeah. So yeah, we're all over the place. Just put in Saxon band, you'll find us, and you can pre-order the album there, so you get it on the first day of release, which is January 19th.
Well, Biff, this has been a pleasure, and we wish you the best with this album. Listen, John and I will tell you this, we were born to raise hell. We had Kim McCallum from Girl School on earlier in the year, and we talked about your killer cover of that song that included your buddy Phil Campbell. So born to raise hell, Biff, and we'll see you in New York and New Jersey in the spring.
Yeah, definitely. We're coming, and keep the faith, and we'll see you all there. And, buy the album, support the band. We're coming.
Biff, I have one parting shot, and this is a long...
Of course you do. Yeah, of course you do.
One long walk down heavy metal memory lane. It was the spring of 1987. You're up in Rochester, New York at the Penny Arcade. You're about to do Denim and Leather, and my buddy has a denim jacket. You grabbed it, you put it on, and you sang the song, and it's a legendary tale he shares with us. Tell me you remember the incident.
Well, I do remember the incident because it's a bit of a trademark of ours now, because a lot of these early shows, as soon as people had phones, they started videoing this, people throwing jackets on the stage, battle jackets. So it's become a bit of a thing now. We just came back from Mexico, absolutely crazy. But I think, it's a unique thing to Saxon. I think, people do throw things on stage for a lot of bands, but very few bands wear them. So, if we get battle jackets on stage, I'll stop the band and I'll make everybody wear a battle jacket. A denim jacket, which is pretty unique to Saxon, I think. But yeah, I probably would remember it if I thought truly. I mean, what did it have on the jacket? I tend to remember the jacket. What did it have on there? Alice Cooper.
I don't know. Man, it was 40.
Well, you're gonna have to go back and ask him. Okay.
We'll save it for the next one. But
yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, Biff, thank you, and we'll let you get going. And good luck. Stay healthy, and we'll see you on tour.
Yeah, we'll see you on tour. Bring your jackets. Don't forget. Yeah, we're gonna be there in April until June, so it's a long time.
All right. Thanks, buddy. Enjoy your holidays.
Thanks, Biff.
Have a nice
Happy holidays. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, you too.
Cheers,
see you later.
mate.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.
Metal for Life.
Thank you for listening to Metal Mayhem ROC. Check out our website at metalmayhemroc.com for information on podcasts, archives, links to all our live radio shows, and all sorts of info. Please like, follow, and share with everyone, even your non-metal friends. And always remember to keep it heavy.